Megan Fox.
Yeah, Megan Fox has the story.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox.
Megan Fox writes at PJ Media.
Eat Tucker.
And that was your last.
Damn it, man. I cried for 2 days.
Megan, thank you very much for that.
So, I can explain the bed thing.
If you don't show up and vote, up your ass. I don't care if you're in the hospital. Crawl to the stake. Crawl there.
It's like Jesus going into the temple. He's like, I got a whip! Get out! Get out! The lovely and wonderful Megan Fox. Not that one.
Not that one. Not the weird one that drinks blood in his toe thumbs.
Megan Fox.
Megan. And honestly, Megan, if you don't like it, I'm sorry.
She's the devil.
Megan Fox. Megan Fox.
I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me, but I wouldn't do that.
You've never met a like me. You want to tangle? You want to go? Holy sh!
Too much cussing on this. I guess we didn't bleep it, so we got to turn it off. But it's.
You pissed off the wrong woman.
Oh my God! I have been assaulted when Megan Fox runs wild on you, brother.
She's the devil.
Not for publication.
The story.
I'm Megan Fox. Thank you. Cheers.
Hey guys, how you doing? Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Hello to all of you lovely people, love watchers and hate watchers alike. Good morning, Reddit. How are you? I know you've been watching this program pretty much exclusively and hating on it, and I guess that's okay. I don't know why you want to waste your time watching things that you don't like. I certainly don't do that. I just changed the channel. But if you insist on being here in the Fox Den, I guess you're welcome. All right. Anyway, what are we going to do today? So I don't have a whole lot of time, but I like to share with you the kinds of things that I enjoy. And I was watching the Chad Daybell. I don't know if I'm going to cover this trial or not, but I was watching the arguments about cameras in the courtroom. You guys know how I feel about cameras in the courtroom. I know how you feel about cameras in the courtroom. It is literally what we do. And I think it's very important. As a journalist, I don't agree with the argument that only journalists can bring you the truth of what's happening inside a courtroom. I don't believe that at all. And in fact, we know that to be false. So let's get into these arguments that happened, I think, yesterday, possibly the day before yesterday. I'm not really sure. But it doesn't matter. Let's watch these arguments. We're going to watch them on a little bit higher speed, and I will have some things to say. And then I'm going on a walk with Mr. Fox. So I don't have all day to sit around. All right, here we go. Let's make that bigger and biggin.
Our motions this morning. So scheduled before the court are various motions, including a motion as it relates to a reconsideration of the court's previous order on video and photographic coverage of the trial in this case. That's scheduled to be heard this morning. We've also got the state's motion to amend the indictment, the state's renewed motion to reconsider change of venue. We've got the defendant's motion in limine, requesting a motion in limine to limit the state to consistent arguments. There's also 2 additional motions filed by the defense relating to a request to strike the death penalty in this case. So we'll take these matters up in the order I just announced them. So let me just inquire first, starting then with the reconsideration of video and photographic coverage. Is the state ready to proceed with that motion?
Yes, Your Honor.
And who will be arguing that?
I'll be arguing that motion.
Very well. And then is the defense ready to proceed on that motion?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I'll note also on that motion, the court will permit and has considered briefing that was submitted by interested parties. Wendy Olson representing those interested parties who will be allowed to submit argument for today's hearing. Is Ms. Olson present here?
I am not.
Thank you. And you'll be presenting argument today in addition, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. The court will permit that as well then on the motion. So we'll start then with procedurally on the motion. The court had entered a order in the what used to be the companion case of 22-21-16-24 State versus Lori Vallow, and that applied to both cases. The court thereafter had concluded that when that trial was complete, the issue of coverage would be reconsidered here, mostly for the reason that there was a mutual request in the Lori Vallow case, which the court considered, and the parties are in a different posture here where the defense has requested that the court permit photography or video of the trial here, Mr. Pryor on behalf of his client, and we're at different proceedings, a different case now, and that other case has been concluded. So based on that, the court mentioned to counsel in a status conference that we would address the issue today, and then I issued an order on October 11th that we would hear argument on the issue today concerning camera coverage of this case continuing, as well as the trial that's scheduled for March of 2024. So at this time, the court would note I have reviewed the briefs. I'll begin with the state's argument on the issue here. After that, I'll hear from the defense, Mr. Pryor, and then finally after that, Ms. Olson, if you'd like to make any argument on behalf of your clients, you can do that. Mr. Wood.
Your Honor, respectfully, I'd actually ask that we reverse that order. This is technically the defendant's motion, and the interested party agrees with the defendant. The state is in a responsive posture. We'd ask to be able to go after them to be able to respond. That being said, if you want me to go first, I can go first. I just think that would be the appropriate manner to proceed in.
All right, and I don't mind switching the order given that. Mr. Pryor, your thoughts?
Well, Judge, my thoughts are simply this, is that unlike the change of venue, which was the prosecuting attorney trying to have a court reconsider a motion without any lawful authority, because in the venue there is no lawful authority for them to hear a motion to reconsider. In this particular case, it was the court's own initiative that said that given the posture that they would do a motion to reconsider, and the court is well within its right to do that. In essence, what it is, Judge, is it's a first-time motion to allow cameras, and as such, I think it's proper that the state go first and followed by the defense and Ms. Olson.
All right. Quite frankly, I'm not sure that the order matters that much in terms of how persuasive the arguments would be. I would note it was the court that raised the issue sua sponte in its order to review the issue given where we're at. Mr. Wood, I'll hear your argument at this point, and then I will hear the response from the others. I'll allow a rebuttal, however, after they've made their arguments. So if you'd like to present argument now, you can.
Very well, thank you, Your Honor. So the motion before the court is whether or not we allow live broadcasting or cameras into the courtroom. I want to start out.
By the way, just notice how terrible this view is. If this is the view they're going to give us, it sucks. We can't see the lawyers. We can't see their expressions. And of course, this is what they're going to go for now going forward. They don't want court TV with their zooming in. And this is your fault, Court TV. This is your damn fault because you can't follow rules, because you can't just stop with your obsessive pulling in on the victims or the, defendant. The sound sucks. Do you mean the sound on the YouTube? Yeah, and the sound always sucks in court. The sound always sucks in court. Yeah, thanks so much, Court TV, for ruining this for everyone.
I understand these are adversarial proceedings. We do not, the state does not see the media in any way as an adversary. We are grateful for the media. We respect the media. There's a reason why the right to a free press is in our Constitution and one of the first things mentioned in the Bill of Rights. We understand they have an important role in preserving government transparency. They have an important role in informing the public. And so we do respect them. This argument is not at all about whether or not the media should be allowed in the courtroom. They should be allowed, and we're glad they're there. In terms of broadcasting, the trial, and the state at least is going to address broadcasting the trial and broadcasting any further pretrial hearings. We shouldn't fix what isn't broken. This court made a very good decision. I believe it was in September or October of preceding of last year. And we think the court was correct when it made that decision. We think that that decision led to more professional proceedings and helped in preserving the rights of the parties to a fair trial. Again, we're not arguing that the media should not be allowed in the courtroom. In our brief, we talk about that. The right of the public and media is important in the courtroom. This specific issue is addressed in an Idaho Court Administrative Rule 45. This court has sole discretion over this matter. It's not even appealable by any of the parties. So the state has raised these issues several times. We actually raised this in the previous case before a preliminary hearing. Our concern, I'm going to talk quickly about pretrial hearings. Pretrial publicity can impede the ability of the parties to a fair and impartial trial. This cannot be denied, and it rose its head in the last trial. Individuals who had seen specific media programs were automatically cut from the jury.
So it didn't cause an issue because you cut them from the jury, you dummy. You asked them the questions in voir dire. Did you watch such and such media? Do you know about this case? And if they say yes, then you cut them. So this argument is dumb because it literally did not cause any problems because they found out about it before they put the people on the jury. And by the way, the Lori Daybell case, I was actually going to cover that, and I tried. You can go back on my channel and find the one day that I sat and listened to the audio with you guys, and it was so damn boring, and we couldn't figure out who was talking, that it was totally pointless because they had no cameras, just audio. But of course, when they're speaking, they're not saying the person speaking is such and such. So you have no idea who it is. It was absolutely impossible to follow. And no, it was terrible. So if there are not cameras in the courtroom, I will not cover it. There's no point.
We expect that issue will be raised again. And while the state doesn't necessarily agree with a wholesale cutting those individuals out, we understand the concern of when someone has consumed too much media about a case, that it may make it difficult for them to render a fair and impartial verdict. And so in terms of at least pre-trial hearings from here until the trial, the state's biggest concern there, and this might be our biggest concern overall, is if any of those hearings deal with evidence that we will be discussing at trial. We believe that by broadcasting it, it makes it even more easy to consume by the public, by the mass public, and creates further issues when picking a jury. And again, we've already seen it. This isn't a hypothetical. It's happened. There's no reason to believe it won't happen again. Again, we're not saying the media shouldn't be allowed to report. They should. That's important. There is a difference between reporting, though, and the ability to live broadcast. And there's nothing in the law that states that they have to be able to live broadcast. In terms of trial,
there should be.
And I don't want to regurgitate everything that all the issues I raised in my briefing. There's a lot of people who are called to witnesses in this case who want nothing to do with it. They're not there because they want to be. They didn't get dragged into a triple murder, horrible case, a sordid case, because they wanted to be a part of it. And the state is concerned, and we think validly so, about the effect on witnesses of knowing their face is being plastered on TV for millions of people to see. It's already hard enough to get on a witness stand, be placed under oath, and then to be direct examined, to be cross-examined. Trial gets aggressive. And then to have that added pressure of knowing
it might become a meme.
My next door neighbor can watch this. The people I go to church with can watch this. It's not conducive, especially in a case like this, with fair trial for either of the parties. We understand that the defendant has a different position on that. We believe strongly that having live broadcasting this trial only makes it more difficult to get to the truth of the matter. As stated before, we do not believe that visual broadcasting is necessary for a transparent and a public trial.
Oh, for
We believe in an
seriously, you don't believe it's necessary for a public trial to be public on camera? How? How does it then become, how is it public then? Just because I have to travel to Idaho and to go to the courtroom, and if there's a seat for me, then I can see it? No, it's 2023. It is shortly going to be 2024. We have a whole different society now, and it's all on camera. This is insane. No. Oh, don't do the spinning thing. That's not okay. YouTube. Oh, come on. All right, I was at 34.49. We'll just, yeah, we can't trust the media. Cannot trust the media.
at trial.
34.49. That's good enough. Seriously with the spinning? Oh, God. All right. Well, while YouTube is getting its shit together, seriously, make sure that you are on my locals page, meganfox.locals.com. I actually hit my goal the other day of 287 new supporters on locals. I flew past it and didn't even realize it's beyond 300 now. We have 1,500 of you following on locals, which is so fantastic, and that's free. And then I have like, I don't know, more than 300 of you supporting the channel that way, and it's awesome. And that's where we do a whole lot of fun stuff. So if you are not over on locals, you should be. Why is this taking so long? Seriously, what is wrong with YouTube? Stop it. I'll try refreshing again.
As stated before, we do not believe that visual broadcasting is necessary for a transparent and a public trial. We believe in an open and public trial. Transparency does not require mass publicity. And there's no rule, there's no law that says that it does. And I would note, and I put this in my brief, at the last trial, at Lori's trial, there was a lot of reporting, and it was minute by minute. I called it live tweeting. I don't know if there's a specific other phrase for that, but where multiple reporters in the courtroom or in the auxiliary room were able to live tweet, and that was great. I fully support that. And
you fully support it because it's journalists who are telling your side of the story, period. Period. You only fully support it because the mass public can't watch. And live tweeting, it's okay. And maybe not every journalist is misrepresenting things, but really, do we need to get our information now through somebody else? Do we need a third party? We really don't, if you can just put a camera in the courtroom and leave it at that and let us see. Yeah, Michelle's Mixed Media Madness says, reading those tweets was tough, and I heard people complained about all the typing noises in the room. Yeah, if you're so for transparency, then why are you so against broadcasting it live? And all this, it just makes it harder, blah, blah, blah. It's garbage.
And in as much as we were able to follow it, it appeared to be very accurate and timely. And so the public, the interested public, was able to follow by the minute what was happening in the trial. They didn't need to watch it. They still got that information. And again, as far as the state could tell, it was accurate information. It was a job well done by the individuals reporting on the.
As far as the state could tell, it was accurate information, which just leads me to believe it agreed with the state. And while maybe that's appropriate, because maybe in this case, the state was right, and I think they were, Lori Daybell murder case, that's really was a horrible case. And I think the evidence against her was plentiful. That doesn't mean it's like that in all cases. Imagine where we would be without cameras in the Rittenhouse case. Imagine where we would be without cameras in the Johnny Depp case. You would have all thought that he was an abuser. You would have all believed the media and their breathless reporting about what she said about the bottle and all that garbage. If we had not been able to see her face, if we had not been able to hear the tone of her voice and her mannerisms, which clearly showed us that she was lying, how would you have known? What if there had been no cameras in the Maya Kowalski case. You would never have known about the IJ report because still to this day, not one reporter besides me reported on that bombshell that happened that day. They all reported instead about Maya's weekend partying.
In the case. And so not only that, there's a transcript. People can obtain the transcript. There was an audio recording that was provided at the end of each day. And so in terms of a transparent and public trial, we don't have to point cameras in people's faces for the trial to be open, transparent, and public. I would quickly note, the state is aware. Many of the victims in this case feel differently than the state. I know there was news articles about that last time. We don't technically represent the victims. We respect them and their desires, and it's appropriate for the court to know they don't necessarily agree with us on this. And so if we keep the status quo, if we keep it where it's at, there's no risk of a non-public trial. There's no risk of a non-transparent trial. The state doesn't see an upside.
Yeah, there is.
To bringing cameras into the courtroom.
Every time a trial is not broadcast to the public, there's a risk of a non-transparent trial, because what skipped past? What did the journalists miss? What did the reporters miss? Because they didn't sit there for 8 hours a day. They went in for an hour or two. They didn't sit there like we do and watch the entire trial. So what did they miss? So there it is. No, it's not transparent. Even the most honest reporter cannot get everything to you. K-Rob, thanks for the super chat, says, we are lucky this decision came down before the mistrial in the Young Thug trial due to the media showing the face of a juror. Was it a mistrial? Is that what happened? Yeah, the media, the cameraman or somebody panned to the faces of the jury, which is so insane. You've got to get a hold of your camera people, Court TV. Train them better. Forever Wanderer, thanks to the super chat, says, when people are shocked by verdicts, it's often in trials without cameras. News sources have biases. Watching a trial is like reading the primary source. Exactly. Cat Toes, I just wanted to bring this up again. The public doesn't need to watch it. You don't get to decide what we need. Yeah, exactly. This is America, buddy. Where do you think we are? England? This is America. Transparency is important. We don't do star chambers here. Oh God, I've got to stop stopping YouTube. Why is it doing this today? I'm going to try closing down some other.
It worked well the last time. Again, we shouldn't fix what isn't broken. And I put this in my brief, and if the court decides to change its decision, we respectfully request a few things. We would ask, and this hasn't been an issue lately, and it wasn't an issue at the last trial, but just, I guess, preemptively, we would specifically request that no media microphones be placed at counsel's table, as took place in some of the other pretrial hearings. We believe that violates Idaho Court Administrative Rule 45C, or at least has a very grave ability to violate that rule. We would ask that the court consider alternatives to live visual broadcasting, such as still photography.
Still photography.
And should the court allow visual broadcasting, we would ask that the court essentially retain tight control on that, at least while it's being done.
Like it's
the court is aware
1800.
once video is made and public, the court loses any and all control by rule over what happens with it. But we would ask that the camera placement be limited. We think a good model would be Ms. Vallow or Ms. Daybell's sentencing, in which I believe there was a camera on the court and one camera pointing at the parties. There was no zooming in on attorneys, on witnesses, on.
See, now I don't have a problem with the zooming in, as long as it's not obsessive the way that Court TV did. I want to see a clear picture. I just don't want them lingering on the faces, you know?
On victims. So we would ask that if the court does change its decision, that it do so within that framework to maintain the fairness of the trial. Again, we do not believe that live broadcasting is necessary. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the argument, Mr. Wood.
Yeah, we
Mr.
could have
Pryor.
a guy. We could have a court illustrator draw the events. We could just have someone do stick figure reenactments. How about puppets, Judge? Could we do sock puppets instead? Could we? I mean, you guys, it's a new day, folks. Catch up. And federal court, the argument about federal court is coming, and it's going to really piss you off because Yeah, sock puppets. One of these days, Elsie, I'm going to do one of these trials with sock puppets. It's coming. Wait for it. But federal court is really behind the times. The fact they're going to bring federal court into it, like, oh, well, the cameras aren't allowed in federal court. It's like, yeah, we know. And we don't trust anything coming out of federal court because of it.
Judge, the primary reason for Mr. Daybell requesting the cameras is to allow his family.
Not again. All right, well, while that's doing that, actually, let me let that continue trying to play. I am going to share hold on. I want to share a meme that just came through on locals that I'm cracking up at. The state trying hard not to laugh when they say live broadcasting doesn't lead to transparency in the courtroom. Absolutely. Locals are the best. The absolute best. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. MeganFox.locals.com. We have so much fun over there. We pretty much have a live chat going all day long now, every day. And it's so fun. It's so fun.
How the trial transpires, and those children that aren't going to be witnesses would like to be able to do that. It's extended family as well. That's our primary reason for doing that. I'm concerned about live streaming because that allows, in my opinion, less control.
Both lawyers don't want live streaming. They're afraid of becoming a meme.
Control as well. I'd be more concerned about a cameraman who's, while this thing has been proceeding, has snapped 1,000 pictures of me and Chad while we're sitting here. That's a bigger concern for me than the actual cameras. We can't control what this cameraman's doing and pictures.
This guy doesn't like having his picture taken. I don't know if it's because he doesn't like the way he looks on camera or what, but he hates it.
He's been snipping along, and I'm sure I'll be seeing them.
Is this going to go on all day? I've closed down as many windows as I possibly can. All right, I'll close some more. How you doing over there, Rumble? We are live on Rumble right now as well, and Rumble is Rumble's awesome. And as soon as I get access to the Rumble Studio, I'm going to be trying out that instead of StreamYard. I can't wait for that because it integrates both Rumble comments and YouTube comments that I can put up on the screen. What is happening? It's like YouTube is possessed. I don't know why that I have a full here, let's try this again. Come on now. Oh shit, I don't know where we were.
The other pretrial hearings?
No.
While this thing has been proceeding, it's snapped 1,000 pictures of me and Chad while we're sitting here. That's a bigger concern for me than the actual cameras. We can't control what this cameraman's doing and pictures he's taken. He's been snipping along, and I'm sure I'll be seeing them with Mr. Eaton's website later today or tomorrow. The court, however, can put some conditions on a live camera. And on a live camera, like Mr. Wood pointed out, and I wholeheartedly, and quite frankly, Mr. Wood, I agree almost with everything you say. He makes a good, valid argument, Judge. However, the overriding concern is that when our founding fathers started the process of deciding that there would be a public trial, we didn't have cameras. We didn't have ability to broadcast this. And the idea behind a public trial was that if you brought allegations against someone and they wanted to answer those allegations, they should be able to do that in a public forum. And the day of media and the amount of attention, and and I do disagree with Mr. Wood. East Idaho has been saturated with media attention on this case, and but the reality is this is a national case. It has garnered tremendous attention, and a public trial is just not limited to people coming from Fremont County to sit in the courtroom and watch the proceedings.
It's true.
And having sat through
the
entire trial of Lori Vallow and watched the entire proceeding, there were issues with the live feed. I'm opposed to the live feed. I just didn't think it worked. It wasn't pragmatic. It wasn't practical. I think that let's use the professionals who know how to do this. I don't like the idea of a camera being pointed in my face for what's going to end up being 8 to 10 weeks. I dislike even more a photographer taking pictures.
Too bad. Listen, sir, then don't go to law school. Sorry, I'm screaming in your ear. I'm sorry. I have to remember to back away from the microphone when I want to scream. People are like, please stop screaming in my ear. Too bad, sir. Why did you go to law school and become a lawyer and become a trial attorney when there could be a camera in your face? Because that could happen. Like, sorry, you don't like cameras. Sorry. But I have another meme for you. You guys are killing me. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is so funny. If you can't read that, it says live broadcast in court, authoritarianism, the state. That's a good one. And yeah, we can't control people. We won't be able to control people. Sir, do you know what country this is? You're not supposed to be able to control people here. Do you know where you are? Oh, not the spinning again. All right, let me check the timestamp just in case. That 41:55. Let's try refreshing. I don't know what's wrong with YouTube today. 41:55. 41. There we go. That's close enough.
Practical. I think that let's use the professionals who know how to do this. I don't like the idea of a camera being pointed in my face for what's going to end up being 8 to 10 weeks. I dislike even more a photographer taking pictures of me while we're sitting here. And I'd much rather have a cameraman with that. And Mr. Wood pointed out some of the restrictions that we could apply. And I agree with what he said. No mics at the tables. I guess if you have to point the camera at Mr. Daybell and I, go ahead, and Mr. Wood and his group as well, and at the witnesses. But part of the reason behind the public trial, Judge, is accountability. And that's a big overriding factor. And when you're talking about due process and people having a fair right to a public trial, accountability is important.
Yes.
And as much as I don't like the idea of being on live TV, national TV, and I don't like the idea of it at all, the reality is it keeps everybody honest.
Yep.
It keeps the system honest.
Good for you.
It keeps the witnesses honest. It keeps everybody honest.
Yep.
And and I'll disagree with Mr. Wood in just this regard. The fact that you have a camera on you, the fact that people are watching this in a public, much like in...
Seriously? YouTube? What the actual F? Okay, you know what? I think I'm going to open it in a private
Founding
window.
fathers, you have to answer questions in a public forum. That makes the system honest. And that really is what the driving force, Judge, is allow the public to see this in an honest way, be able to see the entire evidence, not what press releases that people...
Yeah, this is insane. Hold on. Let me copy this and open it in a private window.
People are releasing, not what certain news media report. Let's allow the public to...
Hold on. Oh. All right. I have thoughts. I think I know what this is. Hold on a minute. Let me see if I can fix this. It's probably one of the extensions. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. I am going to... where's the update? Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. Update. All right. This should solve the issue, I believe. In a minute. Okay. All right. While we're doing that, while I am fixing YouTube, let's remember, make sure you get over and see meganfox.locals.com. That shit is funny. It's really funny. And if there's so many, look, what are we doing? Do we have any more memes for me over there? Let me see. This one's funny. Hang on. Oh, yeah. Did you hit the like button? Did you subscribe? You know, we're almost at 25,000 subscribers, which I can't even believe because just like a week or two ago, I was doing the celebration for the 20,000. This is a good one. Don't want cameras in the courtrooms? Time to water the tree of liberty. Can you imagine what our founding fathers would say if they heard these arguments? Michelle wants to know if I can briefly explain Locals to her. Sure. Locals is this amazing place. It is a social media that was created by people who, I think Dave Rubin owns it. who believe that censorship sucks and that people and creators should not be censored. And so they've given us a place for creators to go. It is owned, Rumble and Locals are sister companies. They're owned by the same people. And it's a place where we will never be censored. So we can put whatever we want there. We can talk about whatever we want. We don't get any kind of strikes over there. And it is basically another social media, but it allows you guys to come and join a community that you want. If you want to just follow the page and see what's on there, you can do it for free. You just follow me at meganfox.locals.com. If you want to become a subscriber, it's $5 a month. You can use promo code MAYA, MAYA, all capital letters, and get a month free to see if you like it. And if you don't like it, you can just cancel. But it's really a fun thing. And we do live streams over there as well that are just locals specific, just locals exclusive. We do live streams, and I've got a really great community over there full of really fun people. 80% of them are ladies. 20% of them are men, just like the audience here. So, here's to the 20% for putting up with us crime TV watchers. But the men that we have in our community are so great. They're so great. They're just so fun. We love the 20%, and they are really good. They're really, a lot of them are our memers, which are fantastic, and we love them. But so are the ladies, lots of them. Okay, let's see if this works now. Seriously, are we really gonna? Are we doing this again? Well, we may not be able to get through this today. I don't know. It must be a YouTube problem. I don't think it's a me problem. Hold on. 4323. Let's try refreshing. At 4. I don't know why it keeps going over there. 43. Come on now. You can do it. All right. I guess my fix didn't fix. This is really frustrating. I've never seen YouTube do this before. Well, is there another one? Is it is there a... Did somebody else carry this? I'm not even sure. All right, I'll look. I don't know what day this was. This would be it. Okay, so East Idaho News has it. Let's try that. All right, hold on. Stop. As soon as I stop sharing it, it starts playing. I wonder if this is a StreamYard problem. Let's try this other one.
Son.
To be done by people in the federal system. Of course, there's
Son. Mr. Wood, I'll hear your argument at this point, and then
The ability of the parties to a fair and impartial trial does not require done.
There were issues with the
Define
live
what
feed.
you-
I'm opposed to the live feed. I just didn't think it worked. It wasn't pragmatic. It wasn't practical. I think that let's use the professionals who know how to do this. I don't like the idea of a camera being pointed in my face for what's going to end up being 8 to 10 weeks. I dislike even more a photographer taking pictures of me
Go
while we're sitting
forward
here.
from here.
And I'd much rather have a cameraman that. And
I'll
he
fast-
pointed out
we
some of
heard this,
the
I'll fast
restrictions that we
forward.
can apply. And I agree with what he said. No mics at the tables. I guess if you have to point the camera at Mr. Daybell and I, go ahead, and Mr. Wood and his group as well, and at the witnesses. But part of the reason behind a public trial judge is accountability. And that's a big overriding factor. And when you're talking about due process and people having a fair right to a public trial, accountability is important. And as much as I don't like the idea of being on live TV, national TV, I don't like the idea of it at all. The reality is it keeps everybody honest. It keeps the system honest. It keeps the witnesses honest. It keeps everybody honest. And and I'll disagree with Mr. Wood in just this regard. The fact that you have a camera on you, the fact that people are watching this in a public, much like in our founding fathers, that you had to answer questions in a public forum, that makes the system honest. And that really is what the driving force, judges. Allow the public to see this in an honest way, be able to see the entire evidence, not what press releases that people are releasing,
Yes.
not what certain news media report. Let's allow the
Yes.
public to see this in a public way and allow what really is should be a public trial. And again,
Not what certain media wants you to see. Not what certain media reports. This is great. This is great. So I like what he's saying here about, I don't want cameras. I don't want a camera in my face, but it's not public if it's only certain media who is allowed to report what's happening in here. That's not truly public. That's my argument. So good for him for not wanting a camera, but arguing the other side of it anyway.
allowing Mr. Daybell's family to review the proceedings. You can imagine, Judge, that if they show up to court, they would be inundated, whether it was here or anybody else, with the media hounding them and the victims as well, and everybody else who's involved in this, allowing them people to watch this in a public setting. There is one caveat. By doing this in a public with live cameras, Judge, that does create a concern for whether or not witnesses are watching the proceedings.
No,
I
it
guess I don't know
doesn't.
how the
Just
court
tell
would
them
address
not
that,
to.
and that's something the court does need to look at. That
That's
doesn't
what-
change my position that
that's
I
what's
believe it should
always
be a
been
public
done.
hearing with cameras, but controlling how witnesses are limited in watching the media, and maybe the prosecutors and I could work out something with all of our witnesses saying, absolutely no opportunities to view this. If the court allows us to be a public trial with cameras, there's going to have to be some Courtroom an order that advises all of the witnesses that they are not under any circumstances to review the proceedings or view the proceedings. So that is a concern of mine, but I still stick with our original position that we need to have cameras.
Oh, again. All right. So it wasn't Court TV's feed.
The courtroom, Judge. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Pryor. Morning, Ms. Olson.
I like this woman's argument.
I'll note now we'll hear argument from Attorney Wendy Olson, who's representing EastIdahoNews.com, the Idaho Statesman, Idaho Press Club, and States Newsroom, doing business as Idaho Capital Sun. Brief's been filed. The court's reviewed that, and if you'd like to present arguments in support of your position, you can do so at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor. And thank you for allowing my clients to be heard this morning. As the court noted, the clients are 3 Idaho-based news entities, and then the Idaho Press Club, which is an association of journalists who work on a variety of First Amendment matters to ensure that they can have complete coverage of matters of important interest in the state of Idaho. Your Honor, the entities request the ability to have live audio and visual coverage of the proceedings in this case, consistent with Idaho Court Administrative Rule 45, in a way that will allow the defendant and the state to have their constitutional interests protected in a way that is designed to respect the privacy concerns of jurors and the sensitivities of witnesses, and to really observe the dignity of the courtroom. And I think, Your Honor, that the media entities that are before you here have done that in other cases, and they would want to work with the court on any restrictions the court thinks is important to maintain the dignity of the courtroom, to ensure that sensitive witnesses, maybe only their audio is heard at the time. They would want to work with the court to ensure that whatever guidelines the court imposes, that they would follow. But they think it's important to have cameras in the courtroom and have live audio-visual coverage of the proceedings for several reasons. Primarily among them, Your Honor, the point that Mr. Pryor touched on is that we are in an age now where visual coverage of just about every aspect of public life is there, where people really have the opportunity to see with their own eyes, not by sitting in a courtroom, but by sitting in their living rooms or sitting in their offices to watch those proceedings. The Kyle Rittenhouse trial had extensive coverage, TV coverage. Certainly the Derek Chauvin case did. That started out of COVID, but the judge after that realized the importance of having cameras in the courtroom. And then more recently, the Alex Murdaugh trial in South Carolina, where the coverage there was basically from the opening of the trial through the sentencings. And I think that the coverage in those cases showed how, with guidelines from the court, it allows the public to observe firsthand what goes on in the courtroom. I know the court indicated that you read our submittals, our pleadings. I would also ask the court to take particular note of Rebecca Boone's declaration, and where she talks about, she's worked with Idaho courts, Idaho journalists, the law school, to try to improve coverage of our court system. We learn a lot in the public about the executive branch and the legislative branch, but less is known about the judicial branch and how it operates. And I think it's important for people to be able to see firsthand what happens in a trial. How is evidence presented? I think it's important to the point that Mr. Wood raised, that it's important for them to see the impact that participating in a trial demands from the people who participate in it. It is no doubt, Your Honor, that the criminal justice system, the system that I participated in for most of my legal career, is very hard on the participants. It demands a lot of people. It demands a lot of the lawyers, the court, of the jurors, of the witnesses, of the family members. And I think that covering the proceedings live will allow the public to understand that better, because it is still a relatively rare thing for
Absolutely.
people to have firsthand involvement in any aspect.
Absolutely.
I think secondly, Your Honor, why it would be important and helpful to the court to have live audio and visual coverage is it would reduce the demand, frankly, for space in the courtroom. It's my understanding that the attendance at this hearing by the public is less than in past hearings, and maybe that's because the court elected to broadcast this live through the YouTube channel that the courts have used. Certainly, that will help the court with security and with other administrative needs and getting the trial done in a way that is most efficient. And so we think for that reason as well, it would be important to have live audio and visual coverage of the proceedings. And finally, Your Honor, with respect to how that is done, again, the media organizations want to make sure that they are working with the court on all of those things. And I know that the proceedings are being done through the court's technology today, but I would invite the court to not do it that way at the trial if the court allows visual proceedings. And that's really for several reasons, Your Honor. First, it is because the journalists who are experienced camera operators, typically who will do the pool reporting, they have more sensitive cameras, better cameras, and more sensitive microphones. They could be placed not at counsel table, but somewhere else if that is the court's direction. In addition, Your Honor, the court would not have to worry about whether or not there are any technical glitches if the cameras are being operated by the pool camera reporter. Of course, neither the parties nor the court nor the jurors nor anybody would want to have interruptions during the proceedings because there was some glitch in the technology. And then I think, Your Honor, again, with having the members of the press who are experts in operating their camera, they would work with the court to ensure that there isn't anything unnecessarily intrusive if they were the ones to operate the equipment, as was done, I think, at Ms. Vallow's sentencing. And so I think for all of those reasons, Your Honor, our clients would like to see the live audio and visual coverage of the proceedings. I well understand, too, both Mr. Pryor's and Mr. Wood's concerns about witnesses watching things that they should not watch before they testify. There's nothing.
Shit, I shouldn't have clicked on it. There's no subtitles available. I tried, but and now we have spinning wheel of death. It's all your fault for asking for subtitles. Thanks a heap. What the heck? What is wrong with it? Okay, well, I'll read some of your comments then while we're waiting for this to get back up. Boosh. Oh no, you can't control other people.
Nothing sort of less comfortable as a prosecutor to know your witnesses have received outside information, and then that comes in at cross-examination. And of course, we want to make sure the jurors aren't watching the proceedings. With respect to the jurors, Your Honor, and them reading coverage of the case once they've been set, that's a concern in every trial. The court gives firm instructions about that, and I think as media has evolved, the court's instructions on those issues have had to change over time to include, for example, social media. I know in the federal courts, there's a social media instruction that's given all the time now about don't look at social media when you're a member of the jury. And this court can certainly craft instructions that would cover all of the concerns the court would have with respect to the jurors potentially watching anything that comes from the live audio and visual coverage of the trial. Of course, hopefully they wouldn't be watching while the trial was going on. And then, Your Honor, with respect to the witnesses, it really was incumbent upon the parties, and Mr. Pryor alluded to it, to speak to their witnesses and firmly instruct them not to watch and not to be influenced by any other evidence. It's no different than telling them don't talk to other witnesses about their testimony. It's important that their testimony be from their own independent recollection. And those are challenges that are present in every kind of case. And here they're even more so because of the prior trial of Ms. Daybell. And so we would ask the court that in considering those factors, do the things that the court and the parties typically do, which is to give very firm instructions. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. I do have a few questions for you, Mr.
I love her. Well, I think he gets into it now.
Sure.
Reading through your brief, you go.
Oh no. Local said, son of a glitch, spinny wheel. Son of a glitch. All right, well, we'll get to the super chats while we're waiting for this to get going. Sarah Adams, thanks for the super chat. Says fangirling from Oregon XX. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Duncan Idaho says, I'm a man, a manly man. Yes, we appreciate the 20% of you very, very much. The 20% is so fantastic. Sarah Adams says, this sounds so ridiculous after the cameras being on Maya's face for 9 weeks. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. It is ridiculous. Yeah, I wasn't able to follow the Lori Vallow trial because I'm telling you, not having cameras in the courtroom, I just can't pay attention. It's just my attention span doesn't go there. I can't listen to it and understand what was going on. So that was unfortunate. Is this still scheduled for April 24th? I'm not sure. I am not sure about that. So we'll have to look that up. Let's see if we can get this to play again. I'm refreshing it, but nothing. It's not me. I don't have a Wi-Fi notice. Is it YouTube? Are you guys having problems with YouTube? Ellie says all courts should be public and broadcast. There are things that can be done to protect people in witness, minor children, sensitive things, etc., with camera angles, audio distortion, etc. Yeah, even sometimes they put a thing in front of the witness. Where are my words? Like this thing behind me. A screen. Thank you. Screen. A screen. It's still spinning, if you can believe that. Still spinning. I don't know what the hell is going on. Let me try something else. Let me try a different browser. Maybe it's the browser. Oh, wait. What browser am I in? What am I in? Hold on. I'm not even sure which one I'm using. No, I'm in. Okay, so we'll try this one instead. All right, let's stop this. 140.
Room for these proceedings. One of your.
All right, here we go. It's working on Chrome. Oh, shit. Not the whole page. Stop that. All right. Where is it? Here it is. Now, let me know. Can you hear this? Because I don't know if you'll be able to hear this. Let's hope you
Your
can.
captions is
Can you
it will
hear?
help enhance the public's understanding of court proceedings and promote respect for the rule of law. I'll note in my background, I did some federal criminal defense work. I was a CJA attorney for about 15 years, and I believe you were the U.S. attorney for Idaho during the time I was CJA attorney. In the federal courts, they simply have a Rule 53 that there is no permitting of any photographs, any video at all in any federal proceeding. Is that your understanding of how the federal system works?
It absolutely is, Your Honor, and I'm cautiously optimistic that that rule will be changing some. I think it takes sort of a major case with a lot of public interest to move things that direction, and I suspect that the federal charges pending against Donald Trump and others, there is now a lot more just discussion in the media about changing that rule. One of the things we cited for the court was a poll about people wanting to see live coverage of oral arguments in the Supreme Court. I understand that appellate arguments are different animals from criminal trials, but I think the federal system is far behind the state system in terms of allowing
far behind
coverage of what goes on in trials.
Okay, well, I want to understand that because Idaho leaves it at the discretion of the judge under Rule 45. Some other states want cameras in and have rules governing that. The entire federal system completely bans cameras, and there are high-profile, important criminal cases of great public interest occurring all the time in the federal system.
Yeah, and we don't trust any of the outcomes.
I agree, Your Honor.
We don't trust any of the outcomes because we haven't seen any of them. We don't trust any of that shit that's being done in the federal system. I mean, I don't. Do you? Did you like the J6 trials and how we're not allowed to hear about what's going on there either? We only get to hear from reporters. Yeah, no, I don't believe it.
And in all of those proceedings, there are never cameras because it's prohibited by federal rule. And so the policy arguments that the public is not going to have confidence in this case or an understanding of what's happening, I just wonder how that's squared with whatever policy drives the federal courts to just simply disallow cameras and take it out of the judge's hand. Don't you think, in fact, the public can still have that same type of confidence in the proceedings and
Nope.
understanding if they want to come and sit
We have no confidence in the federal system. Nope.
in and watch a trial as they do in any federal case?
Yes, Your Honor. I think certainly people who come and watch trials and see sort of firsthand what is going on, and we certainly had those in the federal, we had people who were just sort of trial watchers who would come and watch every trial, and particularly the ones that add a little bit more notoriety, and certainly those individuals well understood what was going on in the courtroom. Not everyone can do that. In every case, as Mr. Pryor has outlined here, the family members of Mr. Daybell are not able to travel to Boise for a 10-week trial, and I understand there's a motion pending to change that for now in Boise. And I think obviously the federal government is not always ahead on policy issues of state courts or state governments on anything. And I think, Your Honor, my understanding is the federal rule is largely driven by the federal judiciary and wanting to ensure there are no cameras in the courtroom. And I think that will be changing as well, Your Honor.
It better.
I think we're in a day and age where it is just the case that people want to see it with their own eyes.
Yes.
And federal courts
Because we don't
are
believe
behind the
shit.
times on that. And so there's a lot more work that needs to be done by people in the federal system, whether it's judges or
Because everybody's
former US
lying.
attorneys or criminal defense attorneys.
Cameras
be able
don't
to
lie.
articulate what goes on in those criminal courts. And there just isn't that I don't think it's good of an understanding. And I do think there have been concerns expressed about outcomes in criminal cases and what it means. And there's a lot less direct information available for people to base that on.
Ms. Wilson, I really appreciate your comments on that. It's really interesting to hear your perspective, having been on both sides of state and federal litigation and this issue. Clearly, there are policies in place in our state courts that maybe are different than they are in the federal courts. So thank you for the well-briefed argument and your oral argument today.
And I thank you, Your Honor, for the opportunity to present argument and the opportunity to appear in Fremont County, which is a great courthouse. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Mr. Wood, I will allow a rebuttal argument just from the state at this juncture based on the posture of the case and comments you made at the beginning. If you have any rebuttal, it's not required, but if there's anything you'd like to add, I'll hear that now.
Just very briefly, and appreciate council's comments. Mr. Pryor did bring up a point that I put in the brief but did not bring up, but it is important to note. And Ms. Olson addressed it as well. And the state's position is by broadcasting a trial, it only makes it easier for potential witnesses to make a mistake of seeing something they shouldn't see, of hearing something they shouldn't hear. At the last trial, this issue came up with a few witnesses, and that was just the audio. The state sends out something with every subpoena. We communicate to every single witness, you're not to watch or listen to any of this trial. Sometimes things still happen, and then we have to deal with that in court, and it takes time away from the jury, it takes time away from litigating the case. This is a long trial. I don't know if it's heard.
So what?
True. I've heard that the
Freaking what? It's a long trial. Who cares?
Idaho State history. I don't know if that's true, but I've heard that.
So only short trials can be
This will also a very long trial.
broadcast?
This will probably be a longer trial.
So what?
Broadcasting that length of a trial, we just really run the risk, no matter what we say to witnesses, of people hearing things, seeing things they shouldn't.
No,
Just a couple of things from Ms. Olson's comments.
that does not outweigh the public's right
And
to
I'm probably not
hear.
going to, I probably didn't write
what's
this
going
down
on.
exactly how she said it, but she mentioned that we live in a day and age of visual coverage of everyday life. I don't know that that's really an argument for broadcasting a trial. I don't know that that's a good thing. And we could probably spend hours talking about all the social implications of the fact that we live in a day and age where everything is televised or put on a computer or a phone, and there's videos of everything everybody does. I don't know that that's really an argument we should contribute to that.
What?
I don't think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing to turn
Toothpaste
things,
is out of the
turn
tube,
everyday
sir.
life into a circus. I think that broadcasting, even if done responsibly and respectfully, will contribute to that.
It's not a
just
circus.
finally end
It's
on
the
noting-
process.
She mentioned the Kyle Rittenhouse case. I brought this up the last time we litigated this. It's interesting because that judge said afterwards, and I quote, "I'm going to think long and hard about a live television trial again next time. I don't know. I've always been a firm believer in it because I think that people should be able to see what's going on. But when I see what's being done, it's really quite frightening." That was Judge Schroeder from the Kyle Rittenhouse case. My understanding is that he said that in regards to the context of a jury bus being followed by some reporters.
Again, The jury bus was being followed by reporters who were there in the courtroom. Is he saying that those reporters wouldn't have done that if there hadn't been cameras in the courtroom? That has nothing to do with cameras in the courtroom and everything to do with the negligence of the media that was in the courtroom. No. And anyway, Schrader decided to have cameras again in the Anderson trial. So he clearly thought long and hard about it and decided that the interests of the public come before all these other problems. So, and he handled it.
We're certainly not alleging that any of Ms. Olson's clients are going to do that. But the reality is by broadcast.
I'll be right back. I think he goes to a break in a
we
second. If
will-
I'm not back,
we
just
absolutely will
talk
create
amongst yourselves.
More of this circus-type environment, more
Oops,
of this reality
wrong.
TV environment.
Okay, that's weird. Why did it do that? Hold on. I don't know why it muted while I was muting my microphone. Hang on. We'll just back up to where he was talking about true crime obsession. That was funny. He's insulting all of you, and I will not have it.
This true crime, this circus-type environment, more of this reality TV environment, this true crime obsession. Again, we believe the media should be there. They should report. They have a right to be there, and the public has a right to have the media there. The public has a right to an open trial. We would ask the court to maintain its current order. We believe it was a good decision then, and all the reasons that it made that decision then still apply today. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wood.
All right, now he's going to go make his he's going to come back and with his decision. But I think it's interesting that you're getting blamed. This true crime obsession. I don't know if it's an obsession with true crime or it's an obsession with the process. And is it fair or not? And are we doing what we should be doing as a free society in our justice system? I think most of us are concerned about what's really happening in our court system, especially when we've seen things like the Zachariah Anderson trial where the prosecutor literally just lied to the jury. So now that we're getting to see these things, the obsession is becoming with the justice system, and it's a healthy obsession. Yes, Tim. All right, so here he comes,
Audio,
the judge.
video, presiding judge 5B. A few things I'll note. First of all, under Idaho Court Administrative Rule 45B, the court has the discretion to make this determination. That rule reads that the presiding judge may, at his or her discretion, limit, restrict, or prohibit audio, video, audio, or visual coverage of any proceeding. And those decisions are not subject to appellate review. I am compelled by some of the arguments that a difficulty in moving a trial about 350 miles away from where we currently are certainly restricts access by certain individuals that wish to attend. The argument by Mr. Pryor that the defendant's family members that would like to see the proceedings is a compelling argument. I know from the last case also there are other individuals, family members of victims, family members of defendants, and others very interested in the case or connected to it. which were unable to attend because of the location. I'll note also that the court still has under advisement, and we'll hear argument later this morning about changing venue. But as I sit here to make this decision, we're currently scheduled for trial to occur again in Ada County in this case. In balancing out the requests here, the court is determined, or has made a determination that in order to provide adequate access, the court is going to permit that the trial be broadcast while it occurs with certain restrictions. First, the court is going to be in charge of all equipment and the broadcasting of that. I'm not going to allow that to be conducted by any third parties. The court has the equipment to do so. We did that in the previous trial when it was broadcast to those other locations. It worked well in all the reporting I got back from those that attended and those that ran the system. And with the equipment to do that and the court's own website, which provides an ability to stream it live from the State of Idaho Judiciary website, public is given free and unfettered access to view the proceedings that way. So with that in mind, the court won't allow any still photography, given that the matter will be broadcast on video through the court's own system. And in addressing some of the other concerns as it relates to any microphones placed by any media or third party, of course, those will not be allowed because the court's going to use its own equipment to broadcast the proceedings. And in addition, there were concerns about the exclusionary rule. So witnesses who would be testifying not being allowed to view the proceedings before they testify. I'll note that was already a concern in the first trial with Ms. Vallow, and we had an affidavit that addressed that and required each witness to certify under oath that they had not viewed the proceedings, and did in fact run across a few witnesses who were not able to do that and took those matters up outside the jury. I think that system worked well to make sure that there was not any improper influence on testifying witnesses. So the court will employ that same method of allowing witnesses to testify only after they've been able to certify under oath that they haven't been tainted by viewing previous testimony. There will be some additional technical terms of how the court will allow the broadcasting, and those will be followed up on in a subsequent written order that I'll enter into the case for trial. Going forward with other pretrial hearings, the court will take those up on a case-by-case basis, but this will be the ruling for the trial and how publicity will be handled. So I have balanced out also the concern of certain witnesses who don't wish to be captured on recording forever, and I understand that, and I've had to balance that out. I note at the last proceeding they were also photographed whether they wanted to be or not as they went in and out of the courthouse because it's a public area, and the media was pretty persistent in trying to capture images and pictures of them. So there's really not any way to completely prohibit that, and while that's unfortunate for those that do not enjoy being on camera or all the publicity, that's just part of the stress, I guess, of being involved in a case like this, having to testify. So the court is going to amend its current order as it relates to the case. And as I mentioned, I'll follow up with some additional detail in a written order, but I wanted the parties to be aware of where this would be heading as we get closer to trial. So that will be the court's ruling on the motion at this time. Mr. Wood, does the state have any questions on that ruling?
Not at this time, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Pryor, any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. And Ms. Olson, any comment or question? All right, thank you. That will conclude the first motion then. The next.
All right, that was all that I wanted to cover today, was just that. I don't know what the other motion is, and I don't care at this moment. I don't know if I'm going to cover this case or not. So we'll see. We'll see. But I thought that was interesting and important to talk about cameras in the courtroom and how the judges are kind of ruling recently. So the Brian Kohberger case, it's the same thing. The judge is saying, yeah, we're going to have cameras, but I'm going to run them. And it's going to be our cameras, which sucks because obviously Court TV has better cameras, better equipment, better microphones. And so we would get a better picture. We would get a better a view. Or you're telling me the Delphi murder, same thing. Yeah. And this is all Court TV's fault. This is all the pool reporter's fault, the pool cameraman's fault, because they will not obey the court. And if you won't obey the court's order and you continue like they did in the Kohberger case to defy the court's order, you're going to get kicked out of the courtroom. And I'm angry because it's just going to screw all of us who now are not going to be able to see this properly. I have a bad feeling about where they're going to put the cameras. And but at least there will be broadcasting. So, and Court TV really deserves this. We just don't deserve it. You know, we don't deserve it. Yeah, of course. Yeah, the court TV made Brian Koberger, the judge there, judge, made him very angry. And he was justified in that. He told the cameramen they were not allowed to do close-ups of Brian Koberger's face. They weren't allowed to film him coming in and out of the courtroom. And they did it anyway, every day. Every day. So now we have to put up with whatever substandard cameras that the courtrooms own, which are probably terrible, and the audio, which is always terrible. The cameras in the Maya Kowalski trial were pretty good. Just the ridiculous focusing, though, on the victim was ridiculous. Focusing on the plaintiff the entire time. I mean, we missed Ethan Shapiro's outburst. He had like a physical reaction to the verdict that the cameras missed because they were too busy looking at Maya Kowalski. They missed that we never got to see the defense table during the verdict. We never got to see the faces of the people who just lost $261 million. What a bunch of morons. You know, Court TV are a bunch of morons. They had Maya on the screen the entire time. Sometimes they had the camera on Maya when someone else was testifying, when Dr. Corcoran was testifying. It was ridiculous. And I sent emails. I know you guys sent emails to them saying, stop doing this. Why can't you place the camera on the people who are speaking and no one else? Megan, we've put up with your camera for months. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I have a new one now. It's nice and clear now, isn't it? Yeah, and Hunter's face was bright red. We weren't allowed to see any of that because Court TV is all about sensationalism and obviously disobeying the court. Instead of, you know who should run the pool cameras? The local press. Whoever the local, they should stop giving out the pool, to these national outlets who are assholes, and they should just give the pool camera to the local press that I think would do a much better job, especially because the local press has a relationship with the court and is always there. You know, they go back, they're in that courtroom all the time. They have to face that judge every time. Court TV doesn't. They fly from state to state. They don't give a shit about what some judge says to them. They're not in that courtroom all the time. So it should just go to the local TV station and they will do the right thing. They will listen to the judge. I guarantee you local news would listen to the judge. Elsie Merritt says the media loves to fetishize certain people like Maya, Brian Koberger, etc. Also, Court TV and Law and Crime want to try and catch that lying blonde and disprove her behavior they don't like. Yeah, I mean, exactly. And they should stop. They should stop. And now, because of it, they're getting kicked out of courtrooms all over the place. So, and unfortunately, the rest of us are going to suffer with the court's inferior camera equipment and in their inferior tech skills. Oh, well. All right. That's it for me today. I need to get out of here because I'm going for a walk with the mister, and we're going to go enjoy this freezing cold New York afternoon. Oh, the hiccups all of a sudden. And tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be going over the transcript of the first dependency hearing in the Maya Kowalski case. I will have my friends here to do a dramatic reading. Make sure that you show up for that at 9 p.m. I will post the stream soon, probably when I get back from my walk. Locals, I may do a Bring the Chat to Work day today after I get back from my walk, because I do have an article or two to write, and sometimes I bring you guys along while I do that. So if you are not a member of my locals, get over there, meganfox.locals.com. Use promo code Maya. You'll get a free month when you sign up monthly. If you want to sign up for an entire year, you can get 2 months free by using promo code SQUATS for a discount. Now, since I'm going to do my exercise, you guys need to go and do your exercise. So you might as well get started now. 1 minute and 22 seconds of squats. You ready to go? Let's go.
You impose fatness on you. You did it by going, oh, I want the butter on the popcorn. Oh, I want the butter on the ice cream. Oh, I want the butter on the sandwich. Oh, I want the butter on the salad. Stop eating butter. Can you just get up, walk 1 mile?
To squat!
Walk farther. And if you can't walk, crawl, roll, get dragged by a goddamn forklift. Whatever is wrong with you, just move. Ever. Get off the chair. Get off the couch. No one is coming to service you while you sink into that furniture, while you become one with the pleather your poor ass got on that Walmart couch. Can you try not floating into sadness? Stop eating, stop drinking, start walking, start doing anything that you haven't been doing, you fat piece of shit.
Did you do your squats? Okay, I'm back because there's a couple of super chats that I missed. Duncan, Idaho says 10 minutes behind, but to reduce the public's interest in the transparency of the court and justice system to a mere true crime obsession is slimy. Yeah, it is. And also, I got a $25 Venmo from, hold on, who sent it? I had her name in my head a second ago. From Amanda, because you have beautiful hair and awesome streams. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And also locals for the win. Being watched by the public? Nah. Watching the public? This is the state's current situation. They'll watch us all day long, but when we want to watch them, it's a no-go. It's, oh no, we can't possibly do that. This is a great meme. Make sure all of those memes end up on the meme farm. Nick, would you do that for me? Make sure those today's memes. Maybe we should start a new folder for Chad Daybell because you guys have done so many that are so great. Porcelain says, I want butter on the butter. Marilyn C, thanks for the super chat, says, move your fat finger and hit the like. Make sure you do that on your way out. And okay, I think that's it. I think we got them all. So I'm out of here. I'm going for my walk. Love you guys. See you later. And you too, Reddit. Even if you're hate watching, you still deserve to have a nice day, I think. Maybe. Or see ya.
I was so lost, my world is near its end. I almost felt my head is full of a million choices. I am alive, I'm not here to pretend. I love my friends, my heart is filled with a million voices. Oh, this road has many choices. Oh, and my heart, million voices. Come next to me, my friend, embrace the sky. I'm not afraid to fly. It's not the time to say goodbye. I don't wanna say goodbye. I'm not here to pretend. I love my friends, my heart is filled with a million voices. Oh, this road has many choices. And my heart, million voices. Come next to me, my friend, embrace the sky. I'm not afraid to fly. It's not the time to say goodbye.